Hey y'all, Jessie Petersen here with Let's Make Art. I'm a mixed media artist and I love art journaling. Art journaling is what we're doing here. It's an invitation for you to slow down, to paint, to play. It's whatever you want it to be. And we have a new theme that we're working in for this journal, and I want to introduce that to you, as well as some supplies we're going to use, and then we'll get into our project, which is this project, Blackout Poetry. And that's Keenan, our art cheerleader, camera guy, telling us where to put things and making sure our experience is awesome and cheered on. So thank you, Keenan.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming.
So excited for this project, but I want to zoom out and talk about our theme this month. So our theme, we work in a theme and it's a lot of fun. And this month's theme is all about refocus and refashion. In our information-filled era, sometimes our many resources can be overwhelming. These projects are an invitation to think about what to leave out and what to keep. As we refashion and refocus our art, we practice giving ourselves creative restraints that actually give us freedom from creative blocks due to feeling overwhelmed. Embrace limitations and subtraction in art. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're refocusing, refashioning, giving ourselves a set of rules in order to be creative, which kind of go against each other in my mind. Sometimes I'm like, I don't want rules. I want freedom as an artist. I'm gonna do what I want. But sometimes all of the options become overwhelming and then I just stare at a blank page. So it's nice to kind of bring in a little structure.
I like structure.
Yeah. So a lot of fun. This is going to be a fun month. So that's our theme for the month. And then some of the supplies we're going to use are clear gesso by Dina Wakely. Love this. And Dr. P.H. Martin's Radiant Concentrated Watercolor, and the color is Sunrise Pink. We're going to use this Dr. P.H. Martin Spectralite Private Collection Liquid Acrylic, so different than watercolor. We're going to use this fabulous Dr. P.H. Martin's Black Star Waterproof India ink, and it's matte, which I love. We'll use some Yes Paste. And the other tools we're going to use are an X-Acto knife, and we'll change out the blade today and I'll talk about how to do that. A palette knife, we're going to use that for our Yes Paste to use that way. We're going to use a number 8 round brush and a 1/2 inch oval mop brush. And it's also nice to have a ruler if you want to be able to cut a straight edge from our collage paper. And each month in the subscription box, you get collage paper, you get all of these awesome prompt cards and technique cards, and you can mix and match them however you want to make projects. It's just some guidelines to create. You can choose what you like to keep in, to keep out, take out, whatever works for you. Okay, so let's get started on our project, which is Blackout Poetry. And this is what we're doing here. And it's kind of like a book within a book. See that?
Well, it's like a pop-up book.
Yeah. So we're taking this little book from our collage paper and we're gonna paste it in and do some fun stuff with that.
I like that.
So let me get this is a mixed media journal that we're working in that's made specifically for Let's Make Art from Carpe Diem. Get this rattly paper off there. Sorry, guys. I just love this journal because it has mixed media paper in it that really holds up to all the things that we are trying to make with it. It's nice and thick. It's just great. So we're going to start out with the supplies for this project. We're going to use, I think, everything but this clear gesso. So the watercolor, the acrylic paint, the blackout ink, Black Star ink, and some Yes Paste. So those are the supplies you'll need for this project, as well as the brushes that I pointed out, the round 8 and the oval mop. I need to slow down.
Just take a breath.
Yes, Keenan, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sometimes you just got to slow down and remember, hey, I'm taking this time to create and, you know, have a good time. I want to make something awesome and I don't want to be stressed about it. Okay, so the steps to making this are going to be: 1, we're going to make this nice background with our paint. And then we're going to cut this image out of our collage paper. And we're going to do our Blackout Poetry, and then we're going to paste a little back to our book from this other collage paper here. And it's going to be easy, but I think it'll be something that you'll find addictive. You know, once you've done a little blackout poetry in this, then you might start looking at other texts that you can refashion in this way. So I like to set an intention when we start creating. And today I think I want the intention to be simple, keeping it simple. And I think that's a lot of fun and calming whenever we can make things complicated. This is just like, let's zoom in on the things that we, that call our attention and just go with it. Okay, so that'll apply to our blackout poetry and just the whole process. Keep it simple.
Keep it simple, silly.
Yeah, keep it simple, silly. Okay, so I'm gonna put this aside for now, and I'm just going to get my watercolor and acrylic paint. And funny story, some people don't mix watercolor and acrylic, but in mixed media, the rules are different. We can just do whatever we want.
Oh, snap.
Right? And this pigment is just so good. I love Dr. P.H. Martin's stuff. It's great. Okay. So, got a little, let's put a little bit more out there. So we got yellow and this sunrise pink, and we're going to make some orange. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but the text that we're using for the blackout poetry is actually a little bit from Frankenstein. So, you know, well, it's October. We're having a little fun with that. So I'm going to mix this watercolor and this yellow because I'm a rebel. And I make a little orange. And I'm just using my oval mop brush so I can get some soft edges, and just continuing to mix this with that to get that orange. And it'll be nice because we'll have some opaque places where we mix the, more opaque I should say, watercolor with the acrylic, and then we can just use the straight watercolor to have some more transparency in our page. It's going to be great. Let's just do a little there.
So when you mix the watercolor and acrylic, can you reactivate part of the color later?
No, once you bring in the acrylic,
yes,
it will dry. So it's not reactivated. But thank you for asking that, because that is a great question. The polymers, I don't know if that's what it is. The ingredients that make acrylic make it dry. So if you add stuff to it, it's still going to dry. I have to look up the technical term for what's in acrylic. Now I'm going to wash my brush all the way so there's no acrylic on it. And I'm going to get some watercolor. Try to get some transparent spots in here. And this pigment is tricky because it looks like a reddish pink when it goes on, but it dries like a hot pink, which is what I really, really wanted for this theme. It's hot pink. Sunrise pink is what it's called if you're looking for that paint. So yeah, I'm just skipping around the place, trying to think about where I want pink and transparent spots, and then we'll go back and add some more yellow and orange. And a lot of this is going to be covered up by our book, except for this side of the page. So don't think about it too hard, just get some paint on there and have a good time. Now I'm getting some more yellow to add in there with just barely the other color mixed in. See how that pink is starting to dry? More hot pink than it was a few minutes ago?
Yeah.
Isn't that so fun? Love it, love it, love it.
These are like my favorite color combos too.
I know you love sunset colors. Now you see what happens when you overlay the yellow over some of that pink, then you get a different kind of orange, which is nice. So just have fun experimenting with acrylic and watercolor and overlaying the two or mixing them and see what your results are and what you like about breaking the rules here.
We like to break rules.
Yep, it's a lot of fun.
Well, some rules. Art rules.
Yes. Yeah, see how when you do the yellow over that pink, you'll get a little orange that way?
I like that.
Yeah, that's how that goes on and that's how it dries. It's so cool. Just had to put those two next to each other. You could see that. I love layering in art journaling. It's so fun. Sometimes I'll make a whole elaborate background and then I'll end up covering most of it up, but it was just fun to make. So
I like how this looks like sunset clouds.
So I'm going over some of those pink areas with just yellow, and that's kind of making it orange. Okay, now I'm going to be more deliberate in mixing these two together. Give it some more orange and some spots, and I think we'll have it.
That's some happy colors, though.
Yeah, and you know, it's a little Halloween-y. Got some orange going here. And this passage from Frankenstein is a fun one. He's talking about the lightning. And so I wanted it to be, you know, kind of yellowish because of that. But you could take it a whole nother route, the background for this Frankenstein. It's whatever you want. Okay, I'm feeling good about that, and we'll let this dry for a little bit while we work on the next part. Make sure your brush is nice and clean so it doesn't get dry with paint on it, okay? Looking good. Okay, now I'm gonna bring in my X-Acto and cutting board. And I said that I would change the blade. So I have these refills here, and they're available on our website, where you can take the blade off. It has this little used blade compartment. You just put that in there so you can safely get rid of it. Not cool. And then this one pops up. Being careful. Put on there. Screw it back on nice and tight, and you got a new blade to cut with, which is always better than a dull blade.
Quick, easy, clever, and safe.
I like all of those things. So here's our little book passage of Frankenstein, and we're just going to trim this out. Like this. If you wanted to use a ruler, you could.
I like the background of that page too.
Thanks. It was a lot of fun to create these textures. Now I'm going to turn my paper. So that's one thing I always forget when I'm cutting. If I'm starting to struggle with getting the right angle, is that, hey, I can turn my paper. So you can do that too.
Turns out paper rotates.
Don't make it hard on yourself. Keep it simple, right? All right. But if you're not feeling confident to just go for it like I am. If you put this ruler right there, then it'll keep you from cutting into your image area. So you can do that too. Just following your ruler. Now I kind of want to get that little part of the book so it looks more like a book within a book, so I'm going to do that. You could do this with scissors too. This isn't like a really hard thing to cut out. I just always use an X-Acto because that's what I'm used to.
I used the X-Acto the other day to art up my journal cover.
You did?
Yes. And it was very fun to use.
Yeah, you're making kind of like a stencil, right?
Yeah.
It turned out awesome.
Thank you. I'm a big fan.
You're a big fan of awesome?
Of awesome things.
Okay, now if your paper's not letting go, it's probably because there's just something barely hanging on there, so you can check it. Or did I not make the connection here? Let's see right there. There we go. Just missed a little bit right there. Looking good. Okay. So, and I kind of want this to be where the crease is on the book, to be the middle of my book, so I'm gonna.
One thing that might help with that is if you use your ruler to help you fold it.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I wanted to see where the crease was.
You do the ruler on the back of the page.
Oh, like this?
Mm-hmm. It just helps a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to be able to see the crease, so I folded it that way, so then I can fold it back this way, because that's how I really want it to be folded. We can see that crease now like this. There we go. That's a good trick, Keenan. I liked your ruler trick.
Thanks. I like rulers.
I'm going to trim this a little bit, because when I creased it, I just made it weird right there. Okay. Yeah, all right. Is this dry yet? Not quite. Let's see. You can also cut the back of this for ourselves. Let's see, how did I do that? I just used this portion of the paper for the back of this. So you can see that it's not as wide. It's going to be just fine. So let's cut to that little blue part, this line, off, and then we'll trim it off. Well, I'll show you what we're going to do. Just trim to this line right here. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Ooh, ruler.
Mm-hmm. We'll trim that off. Save this for our other projects. Whoop. Just put that on my wet. It's almost dry, almost. Okay, so then we can do this. And glue that on there. I probably should have, nope, it's good. It's gonna be fine. All right, if you wanna go one more extra square to give yourself some room, that will also work just fine. Okay, so we'll do some Yes paste. Now, you get this little guy in your subscription box, and it is great. But if you find yourself using a lot of US paste, you can get this big guy that we sell on our website as well. Either one is great. Okay. And this Yes paste is like butter. Love it.
Butter.
When it gets dry, it gets a little more sticky. This is not your consistency, then you can add just a tiny bit of water to your little pot of glue and just reseal it, and then it will go back to this viscosity, which is nice to work with. And I'm just putting it on like icing on a cake and spreading it around. Let's see, we're probably don't need to do, we're gonna go to like that far with the glue because we don't need that a whole thing glue. we'll save our glue for something else. Or yes, paste, rather. You want to make sure you get it to the edge so it stays, because that's typically where it's going to get worn from moving it around, and that's when it's going to want to peel up. Okay, I'm going to flip this and put that on top of this, while avoiding some of the glue spots I got on here. Let's just move that. Okay.
That is going to be a challenge.
What do you mean?
Not hitting the glue on the mat.
Oh.
It's everywhere.
This is what I like about the yes face. So I just wanted to barely move that. And because it's glue that moves, it will do that. So I'll just slid it over just a smidge so we can keep it on the seam. Yeah. That's why I love yes paste. Okay, so smoothing that out. And then we'll trim off these parts. And then it'll be perfect. Or pretty close to perfect. If yours is not perfect, it's okay. We're all good. Everything's gonna be fine. Got that part off. You can save that for something else if you like. And by the time we're done with this, we should be able to put this in our album, because maybe it's, art journal, because maybe it's dry. Our background layer might be dry. Just trimming that off. All right. At this point, you can just move that since it's got glue on it. Get that out of here.
Get that little guy out of there.
And you can take your ruler and trim off this other part. Or your scissors, whatever you got.
Nice.
It's gonna be great. Now we have our little book within a book.
Nice.
I saw a little white there I missed, so let's trim that off. There we go. Oh, I hit it. That's the beauty of this. You can keep trimming it until you get it where you want. Got a little rough edge.
I like the rough edge books.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They're good too. Okay, feeling good about that. All right, it's dry. Yeah.
Nice.
So now you can take this side, not the side that we have the paper, but this side that doesn't have the paper, and glue it on. So then when you have it in your book, you can kind of see the book within a book. So that's what we'll do next. And then we'll start doing our blackout poetry.
Yes.
Now I put a lot on and then I spread it around. So it's really not a lot, just looks like a lot. Get some of that off the lid. I don't want that to go to waste.
And you don't want it to stick to the container.
True story, Keenan. Although if it does, you can just clean it with hot water and then it won't stick. But if you didn't clean it and it's stuck, then it might make it very difficult to open again. So you're right to caution that. So we've had a couple around here that I couldn't open. But on the big one, we found that putting a little Vaseline helps it too. That was a tip from our community. That's what I love about our art journaling community. They're always sharing cool tips. Okay.
They're so helpful and so nice.
Yeah. You're not alone in your art journaling. This whole community of people is ready to share what they've learned. I love it. Learned a lot myself. Okay, that's all ready to go in there. Now I'm just gonna line up my seam with my book and just let it, I'm looking at this space here and here, then I just let it go. I'm gonna press in the middle, and then I'm gonna push outward to get that smooth.
Ooh, a ruler might help with that.
You think? You want me to do that?
Yeah, let's see if it works.
Like that? Is that what you're thinking?
And then scrape it to your left. Yeah.
I don't know how clean my ruler is.
Ooh, awkward.
But if your ruler's clean, that might work. I just got nervous. I'm like, it might have some stuff on it.
Some schmutz.
Yeah, maybe a little. I got a little glue there, but it'll dry in a minute and it'll be fine. So there, we have a book in a book. Love it. Woo. All right. Now for the fun part, the Blackout Poetry. So don't be scared, okay? It's gonna be fine. I've never done this before. You're just going to look at the words and see what pops out. You could try to plan it out ahead of time if you're really worried. That's fine, you could do that. But I've already done this once, so I'm going to just black out the ones that I don't want, and it will reveal the ones that I do want. Make sure my brush is nice and clean, and I'm going to dispense my Black Star ink. I love that this dries matte. Is beautiful, high quality ink for sure. I'm using my round 8, and I'm going to make sure my brush isn't too wet because I kind of just want it to be just ink. So not too wet of a brush because then it won't be opaque. Okay. I'm going to black out this whole first line. But as you're reading, you can say, oh, I like that word. That might be fun. I'm going to keep we. So I'm going to black out around that. And these can be like really sloppy or really straight. It's up to you, however you want to do it. Get a little more ink on my brush. I'm going to black out all the way till witnessed. So I know that, so I'm just going to do that so I know that I'm just going for it. And it's fun because you can change the whole meaning of a passage by just blacking out certain things and keeping other words in. But this ink is so good. I like blacking it out. It's nice and opaque.
Yeah, it looks so thick.
I'm just hitting it for fun.
Opaque is probably a better word than thick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
So I like Thunderburst. So I'm going to get rid of the words around it. I'm going to keep that. Let's see, we witnessed a violent thunderburst. That sounds good to me. I'm going to keep heaven. And get rid of that whole line. Oh, I did it kind of skinny. I need to go back over it. Oh, with curiosity and delight. I'm going to keep that.
I like that.
So we got, we witnessed a violent thunderburst, heavens. I think I need to get rid of that S. Heaven, with curiosity and delight. Okay. Now to the next part. I like dazzling, the dazzling lights. I'm going to keep that. Are there other words that are popping up for you that you would have kept that I didn't keep?
No, I would have kept the with curiosity and delight for sure. I'm reading this slowly because it's hard for me to see all the words
Through the camera.
through the camera.
Okay, so the dazzling light remained. Like I never beheld anything so. No, this says, I never beheld anything so utterly destroyed. But I'm going to change the meaning. I never beheld anything so. Get rid of that. And I'm going to get rid of everything above that. I just love working with ink. It's so fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
We witnessed a violent thunderburst heaven with curiosity delight. The dazzling light remained. I never beheld anything so extreme. And the neat thing by getting rid of most things is that you just get it down to the bare bones. It's almost like poetry. Well, it is called Blackout Poetry. But you know what I mean. Extreme. And then sometimes it doesn't have to make sense. You can do whatever you want.
Could just be words that make you feel warm and fuzzy inside.
Yeah, like a kite with a wire and string. I love that, so I'm going to keep that. Because he's describing electricity and stuff, which is really cool, but I just like this being more poetic and simple, because we're keeping it simple. One of the things I've been doing recently is like organizing, and what I found about organizing is it's actually better to just get rid of most of your stuff, then you can actually manage what you have, instead of organizing stuff that you don't need. That's a way of simplifying too. I've just been on that kick right now where I just want to simplify. And there's something beautiful in simple things. Like this was a beautiful text before, but I kind of like how it is now. We witnessed a violent thunderburst heaven with curiosity and delight. The dazzling light remained. I never beheld anything so extreme. A kite with a wire and string. It doesn't have to make sense as long as you like it. There's no rules. I'm just going over some of these, just make sure it's nice and opaque. Oh my goodness. So just a quick, easy thing to do to try in your art journal is Blackout Poetry, and you can look for different texts around your house. You could even photocopy a book and then cut it out and put it in like we did here. And you could keep going with this theme of Blackout Poetry and other texts that maybe have words that are gonna jump out that you like better. Maybe it's a favorite book. Maybe it's like something that's not interesting to you, like, I don't know, like an old school book or, you know, something like that.
Yes, any one of those.
And then you make it interesting by getting run up like
Yes.
most of the words. So fun. And so this is kind of a book within a book, and we might explore something on this other page in our lawn yap later on, but this is our project. We did it. We did Blackout Poetry. You did it. Thanks so much for being here with us and creating with us. Looking forward to all the projects that we're doing here in this theme with Refocus and Refashion and these fun mixed media materials. If you want to see what other people have done, because people can do this differently. I mean, there could be a whole different meaning here with the words that they choose. You can check out our Facebook group. Let's make our journals there to see what other people have created in our community of people who like to cheer us on in our journaling. And you can also check out the hashtag on Instagram. Let's make our journals there as well. Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you next time.